Alright, this is Tim, and this is going to be about the religion of the Tynd and of Tyria, which is their hex. The religion really favors hard work and forgives and encourages the festival days between the months as a way to relieve stress and anxiety and to let all of your cares kind of sink away from your heart. For the 2 to 4 day period between the months when the festivals are held, they recommend following the spirit of those holy days, for that is what the religion says they are, holy. There are two deities, but in some ways it's only one. It's kind of interesting. Nareik, Nareik, which has the domains of creation, domination, and dream. He is a childlike god, in sort of a terrible way. He generally appears to be a young boy, but he has been known to appear as a frightful demon when angered. Nareik is the son of Eldoi, Eldooy, Eldoi? I don't know, I think that's how you pronounce it, who allowed him to create the realm of Tyria so that he could practice his abilities. Like a child, Nareik has other interests, and therefore frequently forgets that Tyria even exists. Generally, he is kind and will help the people of the land to live better lives, but he does have a very kind of wide mean streak that can be downright unholy. He has been known to take out his anger on the world when he is in a particularly unpleasant mood. Nareik, being angry at Eldoi, the father figure sort of, for making him do so much work, decided upon a course of action that still makes many other gods and demigods shudder to this day. Nareik began the construction of what was to be his world, but in the early stages, Nareik called his father Eldoi to him for advice and counseling. Eldoi approached willingly and with great joy that his child would ask for advice and not for him to do it for him. Leaning over the shoulder of Nareik to see what he was doing, he saw a strange thing. In Nareik's the son's hands was a dark, long, and sharp dagger that had been Nareik's hard labor from the start. In shock, Eldoi was stabbed in the heart by his son. At first, Eldoi thought nothing of it, for he was a god and immune to such things, or so he thought. The dagger was made just for this purpose, and with it the son sucked all of his father's divine power into the blade. The blade's name was Napinal, which means needle. Eldoi's last words were a plea to his son of why. With the body of his father laid before him, Nareik began to eat. He removed all of his organs and slowly and with great joy consumed all of his father's flesh. The rest of the body was divided and cut apart and placed in the 6 corners of the hex to give his new creation great power and to serve as a foundation. Nareik called upon the power in his stomach and formed the solid black volcanic glass ground with thousands of spires that his people would dwell on. So the hex is literally made out of black volcanic glass. He then created the magical ley lines that float in the sky. And they do give off light. I messed that up in the first video. Later, when the power lust faded, and Nareik the son, realizing what he had done in his anger, wept for his father. Sitting alone in the center of the glossy black volcanic glass, he answered his father's question then, of why. Because I can. That is your answer, father. It was not long after that he summoned the demons that would later become the Tynd. He basically took demons and inserted a soul into them and changed them slightly. He didn't want to do all the creating himself, so he took what was already in existence and changed them and gave them something that they didn't have. A demon with a soul inside of them, essentially. And those became the Tynds. The Order of Eldoi is a second religion to be found in Tyria. Its followers are few, but they are determined and faithful. The Order of Eldoi is an order of religious monks that reside in monastic temples at the 6 corners of the land. Each temple has an artifact that is a body part of the dead god Eldoi. The monks meditate and mourn for the death of their god and the betrayal of his son that murdered him. They believe that in future time that the parts of Eldoi can be reunited and somehow bring about the birth or the rebirth of their god, and that he may once again live and wreak vengeance on his power-hungry son. The Order fears the wrath of Narek, and so far has not attempted to move the body parts of Eldoy from the six corners of the realm. So that's a little bit of background there. I think that's a little bit more time. So there's Narek, the son, and Eldoy, the father. Okay, this is more the creation myth. So, Eldoy doesn't really have any domains, or at least the Order of Eldoy doesn't know what they are. So there are no domains listed, so that's kind of open-ended for whatever GM wants to do that. And there are demigods of Tyria. They're called Goodlit, or Goodlits, which basically means like a little god. Instead of making demigods from scratch, Narek instead raises all of the previous leaders of the government to be these Goodlits. These leaders that did not live up to the god's standards are not raised to this level, however. So basically, if you lead the people and you lead them well, and you do what the god asks, that you can achieve demigodhood. The fact that the government kind of fights with some of the religious people at times, however they end up in the afterlife is up to the god, obviously, but the ones that fight more, you would think, would not become demigods. Some normal Tynds that aren't in government are raised because they perform some special task. It is less frequent, however. Half-demons are raised to be Goodlits twice as often as the common Tynd, so they sort of have an advantage because of their demonic bloodline, because they have more power, or maybe Narek just thinks they're interesting. Yeah, so that is basically their religion and how they operate, how they do things, and it's basically the idea of a son killing the father and making the creation not really with just his own power, but with stolen power. The idea of a place that has no water and is just black volcanic glass with glowing ley lines in the sky just is very vivid. I think that's the reason I wanted to do this hex first. I just always thought that was kind of a neat idea. So I'll see you later.